We've been through enough.
Okay,
We've been through enough.
welcome back.
Hello.
Welcome to season 2, officially episode 1, Uranus and
Astro
Gemini,
and Negro.
Astro and Black. Yes, I am one
You're
of your co-hosts,
yeah.
Lady
Oh.
Emerald. Um,
hmm
and I
Dr.
am
Lady D Emerald.
correct, officially, Doctor, officially. Um, and I am a two-head hoodoo woman, an astrologer, baby historian. I do a lot. Candle maker, diviner, all of that. And I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, whichever way the video's going.
Liz. Liz Flo. I be forgetting what to tell the people them. Polyglot poet, because I know somebody out there would have been mad if I didn't say that. Polyglot poet. Also, I do astrology. I'm an astrologer, like for real. Tarot reader, the practitioner's guide is what I would call myself. Entering realms of voodoo and espiritismo, educator, and the list goes on. Hello, y'all.
Hello. Welcome back. I guess our whole spiel is that like the point of this podcast is to talk about astrology from the Black diasporic lens, particularly the Black Caribbean and Black American lens. But we are always inviting everyone else in the diaspora to join in the conversations that we're having, and found out, you know, that we have listeners in Brazil. So that's cool. Hey cousins. Like it's good to know.
Oh yeah,
It's good
shout
to
out
know.
to the Brazilian.
Yes.
Obrigado.
We
That's all I know.
I don't know. Yeah, I would say I don't know a lick of Portuguese. Not a lick, but I know we love Brazilians over here. And we are ready to talk about Uranus and Gemini. We have talked about Uranus and Gemini before, but Mercury retrograde. We had hours of content already filmed, and Mercury retrograde said, "Hey, redo that thing." And we were like, "See you in December." Like, see you in December. And so with that,
Yeah,
we just gonna hop into it.
absolutely.
We're just gonna go hop into it. I'm gonna send it over to you, Liz, to give us the
Let's do it.
rundown on Uranus and Gemini. Like, give us the rundown. We like to dialogue and yap, so I'm sure we'll be talking more.
All right. Yes. So this is based on the Llewellyns. It's the only thing I'm gonna show you with a name on it because I just use it. That's about it. This is not, what is it? It's not sponsored. We just use that thing. So Uranus, Llewellyn says there's a spot in everybody's chart where independence is the order of the day, where rules are made specifically to be broken, and where personal freedom is the only way to go. Meet Uranus, head of the department of one what Forrest Gump said, life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. That is Uranus. You will get surprises, sudden reversals, shocks. Um, the energy is what wakes you up to how confined you feel,
The
breaks you out of the
upheavals.
rut you're in and sets you free. Yes. Also, Uranus has major scientific and technological breakthroughs,
Mm-hmm.
like space. In the body, Uranus rules the lower part of the legs, calves, and ankles, and co-rules with Mercury, the central nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Doubling that down with Gemini likes duality, the
Mm-hmm.
love of new experiences, as well as communication. So think about overall new things in areas of technology and communication, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Gemini knows a little bit about everything, and it's a mutable sign. So Mercury also rules Gemini. That also includes talking, writing, gesturing, working with hand-eye coordination. I wonder what kind of things we'll see in the upcoming Uranus and Gemini. Just with those thoughts, but we will get into that. We will get
Yeah,
into that.
I'm looking at what also they say
But
about you.
also,
Oh, my bad.
go ahead.
No, I was I'm looking at like what also they say about
No, no.
Uranus and Gemini,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
in the Llewellyn thing, because they talk about kind of like we may see AI continue to develop and will be used as a tool rather than a replacement for human
Yeah.
creativity. Doing the grunt work to free up space and time for humans to take
Mm.
their creativity to the next level. But I don't think they anticipated the greed of corporations. And I think that's where Pluto and Aquarius comes in. I think we
Huh.
see a lot of this push and pull. Like there cannot be innovation without human
Mm-hmm.
creativity, and but we
Yeah.
and the innovation
Yep.
cannot continue to eat up our resources. And we know like the data centers are eating up our clean water because it has to run on clean water.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like now the
Yep.
Midwest is gearing up
Yep.
to have a big fight, because all the data centers want the clear, clean water, the drinking water of the Great Lakes. So all of the Midwest and part of the West
Hmm.
like uses the Great Lakes for water. So I'm in the Mississippi Valley. Like we use the Memphis Aquifer. We're fighting against more data centers in the area because environmental racism, and you cannot use our
Mm-hmm.
groundwater. We have the cleanest water in the US. And so, it's so interesting about that because like that they say Uranus kind of co-rules technology with Mercury. And um and we know like Mercury
Mm-hmm.
also talks about language, like, and so I wonder how language will
Mm-hmm.
evolve. And I have been seeing that some people who use Chat GPT a lot, they starting to talk. It's very similar to like people talk TikTok or people talk like X, Y, and Z. Very weird thing. I was like, well, that's because you're not using your brain. So if you're not using your brain, you're just gonna
Yeah, you're
succumb.
mimicking.
You're mimicking versus like evolving. And like the crazy thing about Gemini, we're good mimickers to make you feel comfortable. Now, this is part of the manipulative side of Gemini. I can mimic you in your mannerisms, not to be you, but to make you feel comfortable enough so you can tell me whatever you want or do whatever
Mm.
I want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds bad.
And I also think that's the issue with AI, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. It's like people believe at this moment the way AI is presented to people that this is something innovative when it's actually mimicry,
Mm-hmm.
which is why there's nothing smart, like
Mm-hmm.
there's
It
no growth
steals. It steals.
mentally when it's being used.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. I don't
And
know.
so for it to get there,
I don't know. It's so
I
funny you said
haven't
something
been
about
I'm not
I will never be convinced. One of the things you said about space, and I wonder is that why is people's obsession with getting to
mhm,
Mars coming up a lot more, and a lot of people are paying a lot more
maybe.
attention to space. Me, baby, that's none of my business. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to be on Earth, you know? So, I think another thing about Uranus and Gemini, we're gonna see a lot of things coming off of Uranus and Taurus, which talked about a lot about like the bigger markets and money, but like Gemini and Uranus
Mm,
really do talk about more about trade, like also like the physicality of money. And so we've been hearing about they've officially stopped printing
yes.
the like penny, and people have started, now mind you, we already have bad
Right.
inflation, and so now with stopping the penny, which I have a whole other rant about the importance of pennies in the African diasporic religions, and copper and pennies, very important to us
Mm,
spiritually. And
mm-hmm.
so stopping of the
Mm-hmm.
short, like stopping um the making of the penny also leads to inflation, because people are,
Why they stop the
yeah,
dime?
businesses are like inflating their prices up versus rounding them down. And so it's going to, of course,
Yep.
it's hitting people already. And Arkansas has already, the state of Arkansas, which I think Arkansas has major Gemini placements. Um, as far as this chart,
Mm,
I think so. Most of a lot of the states,
mm,
I know a lot of states east of the Mississippi River have major Gemini placements. Major. So I'm not surprised that Arkansas is on the west
mm.
side, may also have it. It's very interesting looking up how the US, like how the states and what they all share. Very interesting. But we also know like the US has major Gemini placements too. So, you know. And we know Uranus
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
rules electrical grids and well, Gemini is more like weather. And so Uranus is like unpredictable
Mm-hmm.
weather. Um I think
That
on
affects the power
yeah.
grids,
Yeah.
because if we look at it, the hurricanes that we have put Jamaica and Caribbean islands like no light
Mm,
for a long time, no
mm-hmm.
access to electrical resources and things of that nature. So power outages, and we also had a whole bunch of volcanoes erupt recently as
Oh.
well across
Hmm.
like the diaspora, all like
Mm.
at the same time, damn near. It was like maybe six that were dormant.
Mm. No, I didn't hear about that. That's
I
why.
don't know,
That's why
but
when you
I
said,
think
I
there's
said
something there.
that don't give me the spookies at all. Like, yeah, nah,
No.
yeah,
Mm.
that's not suspicious at all. Also how that like Uranus rules radicalism and math and physics.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what I
And
got.
with that, we've gotten, now that you said physics, what it reminded me of are all of the like scientists finally catching up with everybody else who's been known some information
All the woo
around
woos versus
quantum
science.
physics, and like, yeah, and it's just like, welcome girl, thank you so much for spending grant money to tell us what we already know. But they're doing,
But this is what
math
happens
and
with
physics
colonization,
to
though,
prove.
right? That's what happens with colonization, because it's so
Yes.
interesting. It's another podcast. And the like, the Ifa priestesses were talking about how they
Mm,
really talk about how Ifa is a science, and I thought that was so
yeah.
interesting to say that language in particular, because I do agree. Like the indigenous religions, all of them have a methodology to them. But that's like, we could talk about that
Yes.
on another episode. But Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
that's like a
But it's a
quick.
good segue. It's a good segue.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good segue. You want to start? You want to
It's a good
start us
segue.
off about Uranus and Gemini in the Caribbean, the previous dates, y'all, of Uranus and Gemini, because
Let's
y'all
do
know
it.
how this goes. We give you, a little synopsis, then we go into some history. Astrology is a lot of history,
Yeah.
the
Let's.
repeating of. Like I have
It's
1774 to
been.
1784, 1859 to 1866,
Yep. Me too.
1941 to 1949.
Crazy word.
A lot of overlapping
Okay.
with some previous
So
episodes.
I. Yeah. Yeah. That's the cool thing about it is like if anyone was willing and into it enough to put all of this together, you would be able to pinpoint some things. Haiti, 1774 to 1782. It was called Saint Domingue. All right. So it was colonized by the French at the point of time. They tried to make it, well, it was an economic powerhouse because slavery and um, sugarcane and what y'all niggas already know. Brutal slavery right here. But there was also a breaking up between the wealthy whites, the petit blanc, which are the poor ones, and then the free, it said free people of color, but I'm gonna say it's probably the mixed mulattoes, light skinned black folks that had slaves. There was some, it looks like there was beef going on between all of them, and then seeds of revolt because 1791 is when things start to pop off for the Haitian Revolution, right? We have the Vodou ceremony, we have Boakaima, we have all of those things. And so I think things were boiling up um as, Uranus and Gemini progressed and went to its ending. Then in Puerto Rico, also colonized by Spaniards, also trying to make it an economic asset because they're not doing the work. Slaves are. They did supposedly introduce coffee alongside the sugarcane, and that kind of led to an agricultural boom for the Spaniards. And to this day, Puerto Rico is still known for café. And that's what I had for those years. What do you have for those years?
For the 1700s, uh, I mean,
Do
we
you have
can,
anything?
like the 1700s, 1774 to 1784, we are really in the midst of the American Revolution, the beginning of the United States. And so we're talking about the makings of the
Mm-hmm.
Constitution. We're talking about language, and systems, right? To start banking, money, taxes.
Mm-hmm.
That formulation started, um, around that
Mm-hmm.
time. But I mean, besides that, because so I will say, I think I don't have this in my notes from my original notes, but we did say something about literacy and intellectualism, um, versus
Mm-hmm.
anti-intellectualism, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
theme.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a nod to like future predictions further on in the episode.
That's definitely a theme.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
the founding fathers of the U.S. was like really big on, like, I call it spreading mess, because like ancestors are messy, because like they were very prominent that like everybody should know how to read or read the newspaper out loud, what's going on. They had this thing where, like, if I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to talk about you like personally, talk about like, oh, your white wig is receding or something, they were like, you cannot pay me to talk about another man during debate. I'm not. No, they say like I will not talk about another man and his personals during a debate unless you are paying me to. So I think like the founding fathers were like loved
Not
current
his
reality
personal
TV. Listen, they would love reality TV to
mess.
be honest, but like they were very prominent. Like they wanted all free people. Now, granted, they did teach some of their enslaved people to read. Crazy work, right? They didn't know what they was
Mm.
doing. Reminder, founding
Mm-hmm.
fathers were like in their 20s when they founded the American experiment. Think about you in your 20s. You don't know what you're doing
Running
either.
on vibes.
the, the America is a vibey country. Period. Like it is a contradictory,
It's so unserious.
so unserious. Which is why Uranus and Gemini is so prominent for the US. Like, very like, we just about to try some stuff out.
Makes sense.
And like quite literally,
I
that's the
mean, that is
inception of
the
the United
vibe.
States. Like,
That's
why
literally the
not?
vibe of Uranus and Gemini.
Correct. But I think it's just interesting more. I
Stress.
have like delving deeper because I think next year is officially 250 years of the
Mm-hmm.
United States. And so a lot of the journals and stuff, I don't know what to call them now because we,
Mm-hmm.
fooling office. But they're gearing up to really teach
Mm-hmm.
like the real beginnings of the US, and they've started to roll out stuff, and it's good. It's good stuff. I was like, I've never cared for real about the American Revolution until recently, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is what this is supposed to be. Okay, no wonder the fools in office are trying to make us not be that because we were
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
close to being
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote great, right? But like this is all an experiment,
Mm-hmm.
but it really depended on and everybody was literate enough and cared enough about the experiment. And I think that's interesting. And I think that goes into Uranus and Gemini.
You know, projects in school
Group
taught you a
projects.
lot about what people are not willing to do. Group projects are, mm,
Lord,
mm.
this is a hard one.
Yeah,
This is a hard one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
That's all I gotta
so
say about because I really didn't write
let's
anything
talk
down.
about,
So the 1800s, this when it get like really interesting on my
yeah,
end.
yeah. Same here. Um, so Haiti during the Civil War is affected economically. Um, because the US was the principal market for Haitian exports. It was responsible for 60% of the Haitian exports when the market suddenly collapsed. It didn't suddenly collapse, y'all. It was
Wow.
disastrous for small producers and worse for Haiti. Just like the Cuban experience with the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 90s, the
Mm.
Haitians found themselves without a substitute market and denied vital receipts from foreign trade. So let me tell you the truth about that.
Foreign trade
Um,
seems to be
because this
popping
is
up a
like a
lot
limited,
during this transit.
that also makes sense. I went we're gonna put that together, I feel like, as we progress
Mm-hmm.
throughout the years. So the thing about this is through the Civil War, we have basically the complot, the putting together of where all of the like France and the US kind of get together and see like Haiti's turning into a powerhouse by being an independent black country, and they're like, not on my watch. And that is what true collapse is. And it prevents Haiti from becoming what she was supposed to be. Period. The end.
I
So
mean, America stopped it on
that's what I
self
wanted to share
from
with that.
being great because of that reason. It still is.
Because racism is a waste of time and it prevents progress. And so they're willing to shoot their own selves in the foot because of vibes. And that's really just the thing. Puerto Rico, real quick. Um, we have, oh, this is actually a nod to like one of our other episodes. We have The Pilgrimage of Bayoang by Eugenio Maria de Hostos is published. Reveals on a fiction tone restrictions of the Spanish colonial regime. Eugenio, I feel like we mentioned him before, and he was just like a really famous author, but also potentially an abolitionist. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's we spoke about him before. So we have a publication, and the book is suppressed by the Spanish government. We've had a lot of suppression in books over this time as well of any kind of queer, um, non-racist, black affirming, etc., books in the
Hmm.
US.
But
Something to point out.
you know,
They also go ahead.
I mentioned this before. I should have
Hmm.
mentioned in the beginning, but it didn't pop up till you said that. Where I surmised, right. My thing, I was like, I think Jupiter in Gemini gave us a nod to what is
Mm-hmm.
really was gearing us up for Uranus in Gemini. Cause I
Mm.
sorry, quick intermission, y'all. So on my Lady Emerald page on IG, I put a Jupiter bingo board up. And a lot of stuff that's in that Jupiter in Gemini bingo board from when Jupiter was in
Mm-hmm.
Gemini comes up, and it's in prominent in Uranus in Gemini. So it's a connection there. Okay, I think Jupiter kind of amplified some things
Absolutely.
to gears up for Uranus and Gemini,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all I'm gonna say. Continue. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah. I know the only other thing, because I think it's until 1865, am I correct?
yeah.
Is it,
1866, I think it's the
what are the
last
dates
time.
for the 1800s? I don't know.
1859 to 1866.
1865. Oh, period. Okay. So, oh, we did have an 18 girl. Oh, 1865. All municipalities were required by order of the governor to make appropriations for rural schools. So we got cities and
Mhm.
schools in the
Mhm.
rural areas. And going back to 1859, the first telegraph lines
Oh.
authorized by the Spanish colonial government. 1860, the United States was trying to buy out and annex the West Indies, trying to buy five more islands in the Indies to control access to the Panama Channel. How does this match up to right now? Venezuela,
Mm.
Puerto Rico having
Mm.
military
Oh, I like that. I
coming
like that connection you made
to
there.
support that.
Mm.
Trinidad being able to use their radios, the
Mhm.
US,
Mhm.
in order to intercept and do this war on Venezuela.
Mm.
That's all interconnected there.
Mm.
And it's just beginning because we're not fully in Uranus and Gemini yet.
Yeah. Yeah. But what
So,
I think it goes
mm,
back into it. What next? Something. Because I know it's just been in Taurus. Those, and I think this, well, never mind. They could be this
Mm-hmm.
next episode, this future episode, never mind. But yeah.
Yeah, we sure do. Yeah, they trying to buy a damn thing of things. Oh. A lot of people interfighting in the empire of Haiti as well
Mm,
during that time, like the 1859 and things. So
yeah.
people fighting and ops being able to go stay in Kingston. I still think that's a weird connection. Why are people who are being exiled to Kingston, Jamaica from Haiti? I don't know. But even if you're a terrible black person, you don't want to be where the white people are, and that's fair.
That is hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay. Is it my turn?
So yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's what I have paid attention to um to Uranus and Gemini for the United States. There has always been a civil rights movement, right? So the
Mm.
first civil rights movement was 1865 to 1896. I think Uranus and Gemini prepares us for civil rights movement, and the second one that everyone most famously know
Mm-hmm.
of started really in the late 1940s during the 1940 Uranus and Gemini. I also have the last ship transporting enslaved peoples. This was illegal, right? Like legal enslavement stopped in the early 1800s in the United States. But there's still illegal
Mm-hmm.
trade coming to the US South ports, right? So the last ship transporting enslaved peoples arrived to Mobile, Alabama. We know of this enslaved ship because of Zora Neale Hurston's Barracoon. And
Mm.
she getting that person's that was the last. Oh, what was his name? I don't have the book on me right now, but I remember reading that book and it was just like I it was kind of speechless because he couldn't really recount or talk about too
Mm.
much, but she was able to interview the
Yeah.
last enslaved person coming from that ship. So that happened. Um and I know she had
Mm.
that for forever, and it of course get published 2018, 2017. But I thought that was
Mm.
something to note
Wow.
that happened right as we were getting into the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
1867, so right after Uranus and Gemini, the first black man obtained the right to vote. During the 1860s, we got the Freedmen's Bureau, which is how we kind of started to connect
Mm-hmm.
genealogy and everything. Um, we also got our
Mm.
first set of anti-literacy laws, which aided in the Jim Crow
Oh.
laws that stopped a lot of people from voting, right? So the anti-voting laws that we
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
now that's trying to come back is from this time. I was just joking the other day. I said this is the most bootleg repeat of history in my life. We are quite literally
Yeah.
repeating
Yeah.
history because an administration wanted us to go back to this time. Now, also during this time, um, 9 out of 10 African Americans in the South were enslaved, right? And there,
Mm.
so, um, And then I think there was like 31.4 million people in the US, and 4.4 of those, I'm sorry, I think that was just in the South. Population booms. You were correct. Like there were population booms during Uranus and Gemini a lot.
Mm.
And 4.4 of
Yeah,
those
there were
31,
population booms.
yeah, 31.4 million people, and 4.4 of the 31.4 were black folks. I think what's also crazy
Mm.
was that in the 1860s you had industrialization versus the agricultural South. I think this is also, I don't hear a lot of people talk about this when they start
Mm.
talking about the Civil War, because the 1860s were still a civil war. Neptune, Aries, Uranus, Gemini joined together like they are doing right now.
Mhm.
And like
Mhm.
think about how this current administration is kind of like trying to take us back to this time of the quote unquote Reconstruction era. That's what the beginning of this is. Like the Uranus and Gemini for US was the beginning.
Without any of the infrastructure.
None of it. Like it's breaking down. So historians call that time the 1860s, breaking down of the slave based labor system. That's what they called it, the 1860s. And
Mm.
so, but also during the 1860s, we
Mhm.
have the expansion of the United States physically. So the Homestead
Mhm.
1862 Act. But then we also had the Muriel Land Grant Act of 1861. So, right in the beginning, that
Mhm.
raised tariffs for the United States, and also messed up the
Hmm.
farming. What are people complaining about? The farmers are complaining about the raised tariffs. Our lumber mills are shutting down right now.
Yep.
Lumber, the things we need to build, right? Um, happened during the same time Uranus and Gemini. Um, and I think it's just interesting because you had in the 1860s, you had the American North and Midwest starting to build out
Mhm.
industrialization, while the South was still stuck in agriculture. Now, mind you, you need agriculture because everybody need to eat. But there was this huge dichotomy that I
Right.
think also led to the Civil War. This like industrialization versus the agricultural South, tariffs, the breaking down of the slave based labor system. I think we have some of that now. Like people are pushing back
Mhm.
on another type of servitude. Or it's a lot going on
Right.
right now in the United States, and this is a nod to the beginning Reconstruction era. And we know a lot of historians say like the true U.S. starting of the true U.S. was the Reconstruction era. So due to the Constitution
Mm.
and the adding of the
Mhm.
current amendments like birthright citizenship, stopping of the enslavement unless you're in the prison system. So we do still have enslavement. Like this is during this era. This is
Mhm.
starting to pick
We sure
up,
do.
and yeah, I will get into like
And we can
industrialization, what new
see,
industrialization looks like.
yeah. Yeah, and we can see that they're trying to break down all of these things now,
Hmm.
because they are talking about birthright citizenship and what that looks like.
There is no United States without birthright citizenship. I just need everybody to understand that. There's no population.
There's not, because the people that were here originally are not the people that are in power. So
Also, where are you gonna send? Like the U.S. is 350 million people at least. That's
there's no
that's that
way.
that's what
And
of what we
as
can
we
count, right? You have black
right,
folk,
that
like
doesn't
black
include
Americans in the black diaspora in the United States are 13 to 15%. Some
mhm,
people say more. You have Latinos, right? 13 to 15%.
Mm.
Asian Americans are a certain percent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
be for real. That's all I gotta say. I just want us to be for
What are
real.
we really doing? Be so for real,
Okay. So
because
it's crazy.
it
We
doesn't make
have,
sense.
and it sucks because I think the 1860s were the breaking down of the enslaved labor system. And I think right now they're trying to build it back up. I will not forget listening
Mm.
to this farmer
You
man
know,
talk about, oh, I thought once ICE get all the other people that the black folks were gonna be back on. No, we're not. I don't know why y'all think black folks gonna go back to some fields that's not our own land. It's
no,
crazy.
ain't nobody trying to be. I don't.
No.
The reality, the disconnect of reality is
Thank you, Neptune and
also.
Pisces, for disconnection of
I went
reality.
to an exhibit.
Oh, the exhibit. Mm-hmm.
I went to an exhibit, and it was black washerwomen in Miami-Dade, and I think this it aligns with the same timelines of the 1860s. I don't have like the dates with me,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe um black washerwomen in Miami-Dade were very prominent and very important, um like business owners and type of labor that was provided to like hotels, other businesses, et cetera, et cetera. And people were they Nadej Green from Black Miami-Dade, she had archives where they had ads looking for black washerwomen,
Okay.
and there was this divide there was like one of the articles was asking for a black American washerwoman, because a lot of the people that were down here were Bahamian or from other countries. And I just think that's something interesting to point out for that time frame, because I think it does align with the 1860s.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting.
So that's
So
dope. Yeah.
let's go into the 1940s. I feel like
Do
the
you do your
1940s.
1940s? Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do the 1940s.
people are like obsessed with the 1940s because of World War II, but I'm like, there were other things going on, y'all. Like, get it together.
I mean, I have so much. Let's talk about it and the parallels between it happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have Puerto Rico. United States began to establish military bases in the islands of Culebra and Vieques. The Roosevelt Roads Naval Station is one of the largest naval facilities in the world. It was. Let's put that correct.
Mm-hmm.
Covering about 32,000 acres and encompassing 3 harbors and 2/3 of the island of Vieques. Right now, we have military in these places, in these cities, and in my city of. President Franklin D. Roosevelt appointed some random dude, Rexford Guy Tugwell, as governor of Puerto Rico from 1941 to 1946. Also,
Occupation.
Ponce Cement, which is where my people are from, um, was founded and started operations in Ponce. That's 1941. That's just 1941. Then there is the governmental bank of Fomento is founded, and industrial development company was established, Puerto Rico Industrial Development Company. We also have, I guess, like the industrial boom in Puerto Rico
Mm-hmm.
begins. We're not celebrating that. I don't care what the post office got going on in 1943. We're moving on. There was the Army's 65th Infantry Regiment. They had like a commemoration for Columbus. Fuck that dude. Um, so there was a Puerto Rican infantry, the 65th Infantry Regiment, sent to Panama to protect the Pacific in 1943, and by 1944 was sent to France. What y'all got going on? They
Was that in
participated
the
in the battles of Naples,
1940s?
Focus,
Was
Rome, Arno.
was the 1940s
That
when
was in 1943.
was the 1940s when Japan was really acting up? Was that during the Japan imperialism, and that's why they were protecting the Pacific?
Potential. It feels like most likely that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that was during that. That was during that. Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah, yeah,
feels
yeah,
about
yeah.
right. Also, y'all, this is a collaborative. Okay. Because I'm always like, also, listeners, if y'all know the histories, put it in the comments. Tell us the things.
Putting you down.
1945, Puerto Ricans immigrate to the U.S. for looking for jobs and better economic situations. Um, Pan American Airlines start nonstop flights to New York. There is the first governor of Puerto Rico that is actually Puerto Rican. And it begins the Partido Independentista Puertorriqueño, aka the Puerto Rican Independence Party, was founded. You will hear them
Ooh,
mentioned in our season 1 episodes.
Neptune and Aries.
El Yunque was designated your El Yunque was designated an insular wildlife refuge. A bill was passed ordering Spanish the language for teaching in all public schools, which means we lost languages.
Mm.
Um oh, they allow so the US Congress passed the Elective Governors Act allowing Puerto Ricans to vote for their own governor. 20 airlines start flying to San Juan,
Mm.
Miami, and to New York. So that little triangle there. Pedro Albizu Campos speaks at the University of Puerto Rico. A strike is held in the University of Puerto Rico in regards to violent police repression. So we still start seeing a little bit of that resistance happening there. First Olympic participation of Puerto Rico, and we win the bronze. Hella laws, gag law, where Puerto Ricans cannot display a Puerto Rican flag, sing a patriotic tune, or talk about liberation and independence. It was patterned after a similar fascist law passed for the US, the Little Smith Act. Gambling gets legalized. First player in Los Angeles Dodgers, is that baseball? I think it's baseball, which made it a really big sport in Puerto Rico. The first elections, Luis Munoz Marin campaigned for economic reforms through Operation Bootstrap, additional industrialization. All hell breaks loose from here. So Republican Party is founded in Puerto Rico. The Catholic University of Puerto Rico was founded, and they send their first delegation to the Olympics. And last but not least, Caribe Hilton was inaugurated, and Hilton becomes the first international hotel chain. You see how Puerto Rico was considered international? Yeah. With the opening of the Hilton in San Juan, Caribe Hilton, and San Juan National Historic Site was established.
So that's Paris Hilton
That's
and them
just Puerto Rico,
folks.
y'all.
The Hilton's the
Yeah.
Paris.
making lots of money. It was like a prestigious. Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Yeah.
It was very prestigious to like go stay there.
Hmm.
That's just Puerto Rico, y'all. Haiti. Um basically in a nutshell, because there was a lot of overturning of presidents. A lot of them were mixed race. A lot of them, there was one in particular that I do want to mention because it's 1941 to 1946. He had ties to Trujillo, and what that means is a very bloody, racist, murderous Trujillo having ties to a Haitian president is a problem. Point blank, period. You could see that there was economic downturn in that time and political repression. There's dictatorships that happen. For like 2 minutes, you have one president at the time who was trying to get like public education, agriculture, and labor to grow, and they were not with the shits, so they overturned him. And so it's kind of like economic turmoil going on back and forth in Haiti because the mixed race, light skinned elites are doing the absolute most.
Once again, the white
So yeah,
skins are giving
that's,
me a
I
bad rep.
shortened Haiti because I just get frustrated.
Understandable.
Listen, and by the end of that, like 1859, this is where, the guy gets exiled, goes to Kingston, and there was Faustin, who was a general supreme commander, defeated by revolution. But there was also this weirdness around him being tied to, oh no, Faustin had invited black folks of Louisiana to live in Haiti, and he was an open voodoo practitioner, which also added to like prejudices and things. But he was also trying to be like an empire,
Hmm. So,
that's
what
Haiti.
is the transit? What's over immigration?
Oh wait, was that the 1800s? My bad. I done mixed some things. What is
Question.
over immigration? Huh.
Because like with
Hmm.
these, as I'm like
Uh-huh.
sitting here, a lot of migration and immigration is happening, right? Like, and I wonder, is that the nod to the big population booms that we're seeing?
That makes
Because
sense.
Gemini is over travel.
I was just gonna say that. Yes. Yes. I think so. And Uranus and Gemini would mean that people are leaving their homes and countries and cities in droves and
Unexpectedly
going somewhere
almost.
else, right? That's what that would make sense, is like, yes, because of economic downturns, or, colonialism, or hard laws that prevent them from growing. So they go in one growth
Mm-hmm.
direction, and then here come all of these, especially the US, to interfere into these things and chokes out the possibility of growth. Because a lot of like the Haitian presidents and whatnots were also working on ties, as well as the Puerto Rican ones working on ties to the US. So the US is often still a site of economic messing shit up for
Mm.
both of these countries, among others, but like these are the ones I'm focused on.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
So
Um,
people would leave.
and what's funny, you were talking about the military, right? The military occupation in like the 1940s for the US was
Hmm.
post depression. And so, you know, some historians say that like when the US was tapped on for World War II, it was waking up the bear. Like you woke up this like sleeping giant that
Mm,
wasn't that went like insular for like a decade or so. And
mhm,
which led to like the
mhm,
1940s really being the mobilization of resources and manpower for the United States because it was rebuilding. Um,
mhm,
and once the U.S. got into World War II, it and people like, oh, the U.S. they did so great, barely, babes. We came at the end, but it started the U.S. having the true military industrial complex that we have today. The 1940s, post World War II,
mm,
quite literally, is in the
mm.
books. Like that started the military industrial complex system, no, out of the United States. And I
Oh,
believe that is also the basis of our current surveillance system. But we'll get into that right at the end when I like through
absolutely.
what else was happening during this time. The
Yes.
the Bretton Woods Agreement established a new international monetary system. So the globalization that we see today officially started in the
Mm,
1940s, which is why it's going to be interesting with Uranus and Gemini and Chiron and Taurus. Do we see a deglobalization happen because the monetary system may
mhm,
break, right? What the 1940s is like where we get our
mhm,
what we call the silent generation, and they really iterated the American dream for everybody. So
mm,
we get like more migration. We get women in the workforce in
mm,
the 1940s because all the men had went off to war. So we get, which is why in the 1950s it was
mm,
this big push for the woman back in the household, because in the 1940s women were back, and when I say women I mean mostly white women were in the workforce, because black women and indigenous women, we have always
mhm.
worked. So the majority of the population, white
Right.
women, finally get their right to do whatever they want and go into the workforce and find more. And then in the 1950s, they were pushed back into the home. That's why everyone
Mhm,
like talks about the 1950s as a great place. I'm like, ew. What's also interesting, by the end of Uranus and Gemini, specifically by 1950, the population had increased over 7% in a decade. So in 1940, we were sitting at 132 million. By 1950, we were sitting at 150
mm.
million people in the United States. During this time, I think it was interesting. We also had Pluto in Leo and Neptune in Virgo during Uranus and Gemini, which led to
Mm.
uh, penicillin being a major antibiotic that's for everybody. We also
That
had
makes sense.
we sadly also had the Tuskegee experiment that confirmed that penicillin is like the best antibiotic. By the way,
So
they already
about
had
the
we they already had
Tuskegee,
yeah, they already had the STI. I just wanted to dispel, they already had the STI, baby. They just didn't treat them. Stop the
yes.
misinformation. Lord.
Unfortunately, there there was also Haitian Tuskegee men in that mix.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I have like a note here of like 1942 Haitian Tuskegee men. Um, and then there was like, I guess on a positive note, Uncle Buki, which is like a prominent figure in like childhood stories, and like him being kind of silly or not as smart. Um and he would be like a cautionary kid's tale. And so that character debuted in 1942 apparently. But yeah,
Mm.
that's all I got there. I just wanted to add that since you said Tuskegee men.
Yeah. Okay, also we get color TV. So innovation, we get color TVs as far as like
Oh.
communication. We
Hmm.
get
Hmm.
microwaves. Shout out to the millennials being the
Come on, microwaves.
microplastic generation because of microwave. Because we use microwaves for everything. But also during this time
Micro.
we also get this is start when we start to talk about nuclear power and fighter
Hmm.
fuel jets during this time. So people think nuclear power more into like the 50s and 60s, but it started in the 40s. And like I
It
said,
did.
and like I said earlier, by the end of the 1940s, like I think some people say like 1947 was the true beginning of the civil rights era that lasted until the
Hmm.
1960s, the late 1960s. Same thing for the original civil rights era in the 1800s. It was from 1865 to 1896, so it covered the whole Black Reconstruction era. And so the 1940s were very prominent, right? It really solidified who the U.S. is right now. Right now. So,
Hmm.
especially in the lens of
Hmm.
globalization, because it was the U.S. that helped like give the new monetary system. It is like one of the reasons why the U.S. dollar is it losing its power? Yeah, a fool in office. But it is what it is. But I think that's very interesting.
Sure is.
Um, that also signifies the silent generation. So those who were born between, the end of the 1930s to, I think like the end of the 1940s, and then the boomers start at the beginning of the 1950s, like their generation.
Hmm.
Yeah, so like you can start to kind
I
of.
actually wanted to check Miami. You see the formulation of it. I wanted to check Miami for the 1940s just to see what was going on and what just like, it's a quick Google search. I'm not an archivist or historian, but I'm curious. So 1940s, Miami-Dade went from being a booming tourist spot. It had around like 150 hotels
Golly.
into a vital World War II training hub, converting the South Beach hotels into barracks.
Mm.
That I think is crazy. Again, population growth
Mm-hmm.
and the evolving communities of Colored Town, aka Overtown, as entertainment centers, and then nascent suburban development in Westchester and Kendall, and the
Mm.
beginnings of a modern Miami International Airport. But hella segregation was happening.
I was about to say, is that
Um,
before or after
I
they
mean,
kicked
still
all the
happening.
black people out?
It didn't stop. Yeah, I'm like, it didn't stop. And most of the things around Miami, and you still see today, is that you don't see a lot of black folks living on the beach. That is on purpose. Those were sundown towns. Um,
Mm.
and so a lot of the times, if there were any black folks or dark skinned folks, they would have to come past the railroad tracks to be able to be served because by a certain hour, colored folks could not be around the beach.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's some cool stuff that can happen in the 1940s for like that influence current pop culture.
So,
You know, um,
sure.
yeah, color TVs and all that good stuff. But
Microplastics.
microwave that led
Microwaves.
to you know our epidemic of microplastics. But yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So that brings us
So,
to like
predictions.
now and predictions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did we miss anything in like what's going on now? Because there's just so much going on.
I was trying to look back at like our group chat, like where we send each other stuff. But I think some of that stuff is being deleted because I can't find it. Although we saved it within the group chat. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I checked it earlier, girl. We'll talk about that offline. Uh
Huh.
I have this note from last time. I think that was when we first started recording, all the FAA
Yeah.
stuff was going. Um and that makes sense.
Yes.
Like Uranus Gemini deals with airplanes a lot
Travel.
and travel, unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I think during that time it was a lot of FAA stuff. Um I said remind me of something earlier, but I don't know. It'll probably pop back up. But the FAA stuff is what we kind of forget to talk about, and how that led to, still a lot of um, lesson flights. And people are saying like, if you can drive, maybe
Yes.
go drive. But now all the rental cars are always like full. There are no rental cars for real.
Taken. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um,
And
blogs
they
make
were prioritizing international flights.
yeah, yeah.
For
We're
Thanksgiving, they were prioritizing international flights and international hubs versus like domestic flights. Those would be
yeah.
closed.
Because it's like, oh, you have other options. Go take a plane or go take a car or a train. Sure, Jan. I also have here like the blogs making a comeback, and we see this a lot with Substack or people making their own websites again.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do see a lot more
Yep.
people trying to come off social media, because somebody said this, they were like, we forget there were other parts of the internet. And growing up as a millennial, we went to all parts of the internet, right? Yeah, we were on message boards, we were on
Yes, we
gaming
did. Even
sites.
the weird ones.
Yeah, we were on gaming site. Somebody brought up Live Journal the other day, and I was just like, I
Oh my
mean,
God, I had a live
you
journal.
of course you
Wow.
did. Of course, you're a poet. Of course you had a live journal. Like on brand. Um
I don't even want to know what's on there. I don't even want to
like
know.
and like people just talking about we forget about other parts of the internet because the social media apps kind of take over everything. And I think we're starting to come back to that. Like, are we going to continue to come back to that as we
Mm-hmm.
transition offline? The other night I was playing a game called That's Not My Neighbor. It's a horror game.
Mm.
It's online, but you can also
Mm-hmm.
get it off of Steam. um it's just another part of the internet,
Mm.
like. And it's crazy because, like, you remember YouTube was not necessarily considered social media, it was just YouTube, but even like,
No,
but
it
I
was just
think,
YouTube.
yeah, YouTube is going back long form. A lot of people are going back long form YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
um and of course, like I said, the emergence of Substack. Listen, I don't want to be on any more sites in real life, so I'm not
I
a
would
Substack
also
girl.
say I'm
Oh, you
perfect Substack person,
that
but
is
I will
fine.
also say in-person partying.
I think people have always been partying, but people are now
In-person
going
partying.
real
Vibe
partying though.
setters. Yes, real partying. Like everybody your cousin partying.
I think it's more. I think the partying is more like you're. We're back in smaller venues again. It's more niche. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
More niche. That's
Yes.
what it really is. Because at this point, people
Yes.
are trying to find their communities. It's still coming up short. Um, And so I think
Mhm.
people are trying to find new ways of connection during Uranus and Gemini. So a lot of people are going back to paper. A lot of the Gen
Yes.
Z babies never have experienced a life outside of the digital age. While the millennials and Xers, we were kind of
Mm.
that transition into it. So, there I saw even quite a little news today. They were talking about a lot of Gen Z people have brought back film, as in like take cameras, getting film, like going to Walgreens,
Ooh.
CVS, printing back out. Of course,
Mhm.
like we know about that all too well. Like they're asking about like how we used to
Mhm.
take a camera with us everywhere. Well, yeah, we wasn't gonna use the phone. The phone wasn't
Yeah.
used for that at first, and so the
It
bringing
was
back of
for
paper.
playing snake games.
Oh my god, yes. And then the battery lasted a month. You know what I'm saying? Like crazy. It used to be
It
crazy.
lasted a month.
The first smartphone batteries lasted you a couple of days, bruh. It lasted you a couple of days. And but like the coming
At
back of
least a
like
week.
newspapers and magazines and like there's gonna be more of a push
Yes.
towards the
Zines.
physical. Yeah. Um and I just
Yes.
think it's the reason why people want to read more of a physical book now versus a like yes, there was the big
Yeah.
Kindle boom and people are reading again, and a lot of people have e-readers, but after
But
a
I think we're tired
while
of screens.
you get tired of a screen. And which is why I have so many quite literally books right here, because I'm tired of a screen. Yes, and reading physically makes you kind of slow down your reading, because at one point I would just like
Mm.
audiobook on two, you know. And so I think that's kind of part of the
Mm. Mhm.
intellectualism versus anti-intellectual thing. You see people doing personal curriculums, you see people breaking down things a little bit more. I think that is a
Yes.
nod to the curiosity that is prominent with Gemini. You have to be curious. I don't understand. I'm a Gemini sun, y'all, so I don't understand when people don't be curious and nosy. Like, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you want to know? Why aren't you asking questions?
I would also say that there's a growth in wanting to be curious and realizing how being online has affected people on like a personal level, and saying, yo, I want to start reading more. I want to start learning more. I need to help my brain do other things. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
seeing that a lot on the socials of like, I used to do all of these things and y'all help me, right? And everyone's like, go read, go do this, go do whatever. And so I think people into the desire for curiosity offline.
Yeah, but here's the duality of Gemini, though. It's going to be split into groups. People
Mm-hmm.
who be chronically online are going to come offline. People who have not been chronically online and have gotten into
Mm.
online, got into Chat GPT, oh, the chat is my friend. It
Oh
is not your
no.
friend. It's a tool of surveillance. That's what I want to get into. A lot of things. I think this is like Uranus and Gemini. We saw a lot of industrialization, military complex, industrialization versus agriculture. Like currently, Uranus and Gemini is going to be the reindustrialization, but it's going to by using AI as a tool of surveillance. Everything is surveillance. I, as a
Oh,
policy person,
I have something to add to this once we're done.
as a policy person has been in rooms that people didn't know that exist. Everything is surveillance. Hear me and hear me well. Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't be doing anything. It's still an infringement on your privacy. It don't matter if you think you're a good person. AI is making a videos of you right now of you doing something bad. And there's no literacy, there's no media literacy, there's no AI literacy right
Mm.
now. You now have that current fool in office trying to say, signing a bill this week saying that states cannot regulate AI. What? So there should be one thing federal. That is not how this place is set up. You loser. Like that's not how this goes. And so I just
Mm.
when we talk about Uranus and radicalism, Uranus and Gemini and radicalism, like civil disobedience is going to be our greatest strength. And so once you realize that everything is surveillance, you would move differently. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yes. And in moving differently, this is for the poets. There was an article that came out that poets
Oh yeah.
were able to break AI through the form of prose and the complexity of language.
Mm.
So stay dangerous and creative and long winded with flowery language, my friends.
And that's to all creatives
The
because
end.
you can also
That's what I,
break
for sure.
break things visually with makeup. So yeah.
Yes.
Um I think another thing we need to bring up
Yes.
is radio and broadcasting. We need to push for that to be brought back because those
Ooh.
type of things is kind of harder
Yes.
to do. I would say intercept in some type of way. I would say it's harder in that type of way. But also I
Mm-hmm.
think me and my
Mm-hmm.
homeboy was just like, okay, Gemini also helps with music along with like Pisces, right? So Mercury and Neptune.
Ooh.
Mercury and Neptune love things with the arts as well. This is a whole nother conversation about how Mercury and Neptune are related.
Yeah.
Allegedly,
Yeah.
maybe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
me and my homeboy was talking about music, and we like to go and talk about our top 10 albums according to a year. So like next year is like the top. We did like a top 10
Mm-hmm.
albums of like 2006 or whatever. Hard, nigga. When I
Mm-hmm.
say the hardest thing, my God, the music of the 2000s is crazy. But I was
It was so
saying,
much.
no, for real. And recently we get into a conversation of like, what is your favorite R&B song of each year for the past 10 years? Because he made an argument that
That is so hard.
we have not had a traditional R&B song. Because I do not count SZA. I don't count a lot of the new
Mm.
girls at all. They are not traditional R&B. Traditional R&B is like Teddy Pendergrass, Eric Benet, Tamia, like traditional
Mm.
R&B. It's the reason why Beyonce
Mm-hmm.
has not been able to
Mm-hmm.
get an R&B record because she's pop R&B. SZA is progressive alternative R&B. Summer Walker is alternative R&B. Kalani like
Mm.
Cleo Soul is progressive R&B, but traditional
But those
R&B.
are like the more popular ones as well. I think the
Right.
people who are really doing that work aren't
Right. And
big.
so I quite literally said, I said the person who has came out with the best R&B literally lately is Eric Benet. He came out with an EP and an album, and he just came out with like Christmas. Friend, go listen to it and thank me later. Go listen to Eric Benet's new stuff for this. I said
We'll
that
we'll do
I
that.
before that maybe Alex Isley, but she borderlines R&B jazz. Right, Moonchild, like Lala Hathaway, Duran Bernard, they still have a lot of the
Oh,
traditional R&B. Their projects, not when they co-host with
yes, they
with other
do.
people. And so, but I was like, where is the soul behind some of this stuff? I said, why does like the newer music not feel as nostalgic? And I said, I think it's because a lot of our really good music had to be pushed through radio versus streaming. There's a difference. Like, I really think that's a
Yes.
difference. I mean, we could get to the woo woo of like
Yes.
frequency
Yes.
waves or radio waves versus like the typical waves we get through our ears through streaming is different from the
That's a
radio.
whole
That's a whole nother like,
that's a
but
whole
I
other
think with people
that's a
asking for
conversation to be
more,
had.
my boo Big Crit just came out with the EP,
Mm-hmm.
the rapper, and he was recently on a interview, and one of the people were asking what's happening with the rap scene, the hip hop rap, right? Big Crit is like
Oh,
Meridian, Mississippi down. Like he's a
people gotta
Mississippi.
read.
That, and he was saying that people, it was a different type of motivation when you had to push your stuff on the radio. So you knew
Mm.
that through the radio it had to be cool, you had to do this, you got to know X, Y, and Z, all that. Like you had a love of your craft. And crazy enough, Gucci Mane talked about that a little bit in his recent book about the hustle of like radio and kind of the importance of radio. And I'm just like,
Mm.
will we start to see podcasts being on radios
I
more
think
than podcasts being on streaming sites? Are we going to see that? We kind of see that a little bit sometimes, like with the Breakfast Club.
maybe
But like,
we do.
but like, I think radio
I
broadcasting is going to come
think
out
it's
of
gonna
nowhere.
take time. I think what's going to happen is, and this is for all of the things that we stream, they're going to flood everything, and they're already doing this with so many ads, with so many increases
With
that we're just like, I might
AI
as well just
too.
go to radio. I might as well just listen to the commercials. Like there's all these AI, shows and stuff. And I think what's going to happen is people will go to cable, will go to radio, and will go a lot more analog because nothing is interesting anymore.
It's not.
And it's too fucking expensive and people can't afford it.
In a minute, people
And I
is,
see that already with streaming, with like
oh yeah.
all of the issues of like these big streaming companies that support people we don't rock with.
The way I want to let out a scream about
Ooh,
Warner
boycotting.
Brothers, we're not going to get started about Warner Brothers and their important intellectual property. Warner
No,
Brothers
because we'd be
intellectual
here all night.
property is like the progressives of the media, but we're not even going to get into that. Their IPs, the intellectual property, we talk about Matrix,
But,
Scooby, you like their IPs.
oh yeah.
Warner Brothers themselves, no. Their intellectual property. We talk about
I,
DC
yeah.
Comics.
No.
Please. We're not going to because but one thing I do want to talk about when just to kind of segue from like cable and like people looking at where they spend their money, because Uranus and Gemini is going to remind us that cash, that paper materialism is important. These banks will be playing in our
Yes.
faces.
Yep.
They already are.
They already are.
Start taking out cash a lot more. Hide it from yourself. Do whatever you need to do
Yes.
to prepare for what may happen in the next couple of years. That's all I gotta say about that.
Starting next year.
Because we can't. We're gonna get deeper into that later
What?
on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We will. We will. But just a warning, just a beginning warning
yeah.
that
But I think Uranus
physical
Gemini,
everything will be important for all of us.
especially when you're trying to. I would say this. Uh, the physical is important, even when trying to beat things spiritually. So that's what I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
say. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else about
And
predictions?
in that vein, is there anything else? No, I think with that we are complete Uranus and Gemini.
Tell us your
Stay tuned
predictions.
for our next episodes.
They rolling out because
Tell
at
us
this
your
point,
predictions. Tell us the history that is missing.
yeah,
Tell us about your cultures. We want to know. We want to know.
yeah, absolutely. Because we don't know everything. These are just from our viewpoints. This is a community effort.
And fun.
Okay, Liz, did you have anything coming up
Yes.
that you want to tell the good
And
people?
so, the West Indies, I am going to rest. I hope.
You're like, absolutely not. Do not. Is your shop still open? Are you gonna close it down for the year?
It's open. I cannot guarantee. I would like to, because it's not going to get there by Christmas. So, like, let me not lie to y'all.
Oh,
I'm,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's
So,
see. On
we shall
my
see.
let's see, on my end, I do have readings, divination available. I do. By the time this is out,
Get it
they
now.
are already open. So December 10th through the 22nd are my days of openings. So um uh, 30-minute and 60-minute general readings. We may or may not pull cards. It depends on what the spirits are saying. Most of my stuff is done through mediumship plus cards, pendulum, whatever is needed, whatever tool is needed for whatever you're asking for. I also still do ancestral readings. So we call down everybody. We talk about
Run.
everything.
Run, don't
Um,
walk.
I have a year ahead. And uh spiritual team consult. So everyone has a spiritual court. That one we gather them together and then y'all figure out your spiritual teams, how they work, who own them. And yeah, those are my main readings. I'm
Hmm.
advertising them because there will be no readings available for the first quarter of 2026 because I have other things rolling out. So be sure to follow us
Period.
on social media and other things that are rolling. Everyone should be happy who have followed me. The things that are rolling out beginning of the year are the things y'all have been begging me for. I don't want to talk about it.
Cannot wait.
I, so get in where you fit in. That's what I'm gonna have to say
Cannot
about that.
wait.
Liz already like is probably already
Behind me in
imagining.
line is where they fit in.
So, which I have been asking for, y'all about to get. So, but besides that, I mean, we'll see them on the
Love
next
it.
episode, which is
Love it.
Jupiter and Cancer. So we'll see y'all next
I will
week.
see y'all again.
All right, y'all.
Adios.
Bye.